Hello students and welcome back to our Analyzing English video series. In this 19th video, we're going to talk about the richness of the English language. Now, what do I mean by richness? What I basically mean is that there's a ton of words in English. It's ever expanding, ever growing. There's a lot of vocabulary, different types of vocabulary, different ways to express yourself. And the richness of the language is not just the size of the language, it's the scope and the scale and the amount of ways to describe culture, science, mathematics, the arts, emotions, feelings. And English is very rich, and we're going to discuss why it's such a rich language in that regard. We're not talking about wealth. We're talking about kind of the size, the scale, the scope of the language, and the ability to describe exactly how you're feeling or doing, or talking about different subjects from science to math to art to anything you can think of. We're going to dive in. We're going to compare the richness of the language in terms of its vocabulary and syntax compared to other modern languages. And I find it's a very interesting topic when we're analyzing English, when we're diving deeper into the why we're learning English. Why are we doing it? Why are we learning this global language, which is part of it too in terms of the richness of it. So we're going to discuss that and more. My name is Ben with English from A to Z, and let's get started. The richness of the language. Again, I'm talking, scope and scale, it's huge. Looking at the Oxford English Dictionary, which is massive. If you ever want to look at the largest English dictionary, I think Oxford has it. There's 170,000 words, give or take, in current use in the English language. That's just current use. Now, historically, and English dates back centuries. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks at home. I'd say 13th, 14th century with Old English, maybe earlier than that. And then modern English developed in, the recent centuries, maybe going back 18th, 17th century. But Old English, what you read in Shakespeare, that dates back 6-7 centuries at this point. I believe either probably 13th or 14th century with Old English. But anyway, and what do I mean by the depth of the language itself? 1 million plus words, total words, total. We're talking about current use and also former use, or words that aren't really used in a modern era. Now, I got these statistics from the Global Language Monitor, a very good source of information. Now, we're not just talking about daily vocabulary that you and I would use in English. We're talking about technical, slang, and scientific words, other words. And the thing with English that is so unique and so rich is it takes roots not just from Latin, not a modern language, but a language that historically led to Spanish, French, Italian, and other Romance languages. It has its roots not only in the Romance form of language, but also in a Germanic form. And not just from Latin and Germanic and French and Greek, but 350 plus other languages. So English is very diverse in terms of its roots. A huge part of that is having some Latin origins for words or Latin roots, and then Germanic roots or origins as well, taking from other languages and developing other newer words. So when I say taking and adding new words, English adds 1,000 new words per year, give or take. Recently you have selfie. Nobody knew what a selfie was 15, 20 years ago, right? We knew the self, but selfie is actually a word. Obviously, self is the root of the word. And in ghosting, we know what ghosts are, right? But ghosting, kind of disappearing on someone, that is kind of a new word, technically. So even if it's a new ending or a new way of saying something, technically it's a new word. And English, from my research, adds 1,000 new words per year. And I got a quote here that I like that I read, is that English is like that friend who raids everyone's closet, borrowing words from everywhere and making it all work. So yeah, English is that friend in the language family who takes a little bit from everyone and then kind of molds it and makes it their own. So, there's a word cloud here that I like that have words from other, kind of the roots from other languages, like emoji, Japanese, which I'll talk about. Serendipity, which we went over in a word of the week video for vocabulary. And then globalization, swagger, pandemic, hangry. We have some slang. So it's a mix of slang, modern descriptive words, and then your basic words like remote, work, flex, check, hybrid, and then AI is even in there. So English is diverse, very short, very big words, and you can talk about anything from shampoo to zombies to binge watching to emojis. There's just a lot that goes into forming English words, and we take from so many roots of different languages, historic languages and modern languages to form new words. So 1 million plus total words and then 170,000 words in current use. Very impressive. Very rich language. How does English stack up against other languages? Well, we have a bar chart here. English is not the top, okay? I think it's top three from my calculation here. So from my research, Tamil, 1.5 million words, very impressive for such a small population that speaks Tamil relatively. Korean, 1.1 million words. And I think that has to do with the amount of characters. Correct me if I'm wrong, Korean speakers who are watching this, but the amount of characters, the ways you can move around. It's an agglutinative language, so you can add different letters or sounds onto a word and make it unique, perhaps. Portuguese, obviously, at 818,000 or so words. Finnish, 800,000 for such a small language. Finnish is up there. And English in my research is number three here. So in terms of vocabulary size, English is way up there. As we mentioned earlier, 1 million total, 170,000 active words, and global flexibility king. That's how I would describe it. Very flexible, very adaptable. And again, Tamil and Korean are above English in raw active words, as I mentioned, 1.5 million, 1.1 million. But English, in my research, has more slang words, science, and culture words. And it's developing quicker in terms of the amount of words we're adding. 1,000 a day, it seems. If I go back here, yep. 1,000 new words per year, excuse me, not day. 1,000 new words per year, but that is a good rate. I mean, that's 100,000 words over 100 years. So the language keeps building every year. 1,000 words is a lot. So a lot of that's slang, a lot of that's science and culture and technical vocabulary. So English is developing quite quickly, and it may catch up to Tamil and Korean in the future. So why English keeps growing bigger? Again, it's a borrowing machine. We have exit from Latin, entrepreneur kind of has a French origin to it. Shampoo actually comes from a Hindi root. And then emoji is Japanese in terms of its origin. And then tech and science innovation, you have nonstop new words. There's a lot of the English-speaking world leads the world in science and tech innovation in terms of startups, new businesses, tech companies. So a lot of the development and growth in the tech and science sector comes from English-speaking development. So that's going to create a lot of new words that we add each year. And then the global dominance of English, in my opinion, is continuing. That's partly why I'm working on English from A to Z for all of you. Is it's spoken on every continent. You go, from Australia to South Africa, even the parts of South America. English is common. Maybe not so much in South America, but we do have one or two English-speaking countries there. And then North America, of course, Europe as well. And then what am I forgetting? Excuse me. Yeah, everyone except Antarctica, I would say. Even Asia. Asia may not be dominant in terms of English, but a lot of people in Asia for communication, for business, speak English. Places like Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong as well, where English is one of the official languages, if I'm not mistaken, or at least one of the most spoken languages. So on every continent. So you have big countries like the US, Canada, Australia, the UK, or influential countries that speak the language as a first language, and they're very relevant in the tech and science sectors. And then, English dominates on the internet. I think I brought it up before, but the most traffic on the internet in terms of language is in English. So that creates a lot of slang in social media and videos and nonstop creativity. I've talked about in our English slang video series, Riz, vibe check, stan, which I'll go over at some point. But there's a bunch of new words that I even haven't heard of as a teacher and as a business owner. But these are new words that are just coming online, for lack of a better word, from the internet and influencing pop culture and influencing the English language. And then Shakespeare actually, in his writing, created swagger, and that dates back to give or take the 16. With swagger, actually, I don't have it on here, but I think it's around 1500s with Shakespeare, 1400s, 1500s for Shakespeare's writing, to TikTok's Riz, which is the early 2020s we're talking about. English, again, keeps reinventing itself every generation. So as you can see, English dates back hundreds of years, and in terms of taking from French, Hindi, Arabic, or at least borrowing, we have a timeline here that dates back to the 1500s to more the modern era with the internet, selfie, and Riz being a more recent word adoption. So English keeps borrowing, keeps taking, and kind of making it own in terms of meaning and cultural significance. So the language keeps growing bigger, 1,000 words a year, 170,000 words in modern usage, and then 1 million total words in centuries, dating back to the 13th, 14th, 15th century, maybe even earlier. So, the language is constantly evolving. It's a global language again. And then in tech, science, or business, English is a useful language. And, it is a very adaptable language. It's a very easy, maybe not easy language to master, but it is a language that people can pick up and learn once they get the hang of the grammar and the vocabulary, which is what I'm trying to help you all here. It can help you in so many ways to learn English. And it's such a rich language. It's my native language. I think it is a rich language because of the different origins, the different ways it can be used very specifically, and then the different ways it can express emotions is pretty good as well. So that's my focus on analyzing English for richness of English. So thank you so much for watching. I really love doing these analyzing English videos. There's other video series out there from learning the entire English alphabet from A to Z, to fixing your English grammatical or sentence errors in that Spot That English Error series, which we should do a video on soon. It's been a while, to improve your English language skills overall. Don't forget to hit the like button, please, if you enjoyed this video, or hit the subscribe button below to follow us here on our English from A to Z YouTube channel. If you have any questions for me or would like to subscribe to our official newsletter, please go to our website, www.englishfromatz.com/newsletter. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon for another Analyzing English video. Take care now. Bye-bye.